Welcome to Up, Up, and Away, the restaurant marketing podcast, saving the world from bad marketing, brought to you by Qubriux, the all-in-one platform for loyalty and customer engagement. Today, we're going to talk about something I'm very passionate about, reputation management. I can go on for days about this. I'm Rev Ciancio, hospitality marketing consultant, tech evangelist, content creator, and co-founder and CMO at Handcraft Burgers and Brew in New York City, and also the CMO of Salad House in New Jersey. We are going to talk potatoes, okay? Like the French fried kind that usually earn you a 5-star rating on Google and once in a while lead to a 1-star review on Yelp because, somebody forgot to put ketchup in the bag. It happens all the time. Look, your restaurant has two front doors, right? There's the one that's attached to the building, and then there's the one that lives online digitally, okay? And people can come in or out either way. It doesn't matter. And for you to be effective, you have to practice the same hospitality that you would in store, also online, okay? And most commonly, that comes in the form of a review on Google or Yelp, okay? Much like if a guest came to you in store, walked up to you and said, "Hey, Arun, that was awesome," you would not stare them blankly in the face and, right? You would say thank you, right?
Indeed, yes.
Okay. Now, you would do the same thing online, right? You should. If somebody leaves you a review, okay, you have to say thank you. But that also goes for the negative ones too, okay? Leaving it like a 2-star review to sit without a reply is the same as not responding to that guest in the store until you're upset. Somebody walks up to you in the store and they go, "These French fries were cold. My bag was ripped. The server was a jerk." You wouldn't just look at them. You would say, "I'm sorry," right? You should do the same thing online. We're not going to do that anymore. Okay. On today's show, we're going to dive deep into the benefits of replying online to reviews, how to reply to reviews. Honestly, just entirely what is the benefit of the whole thing and how to do it. And to help us connect the dots today between customer feedback and intelligent action, we have co-founder and CEO of Qubriux and Skellum AI, Arun. Arun is a tech veteran with over 2 decades of experience. But before Qubriux, he was the principal data scientist and architect for developing Starbucks' personalized customer engagement platform. I'm going to ask you one question about that before we continue. Can I ask
Indeed.
you one
Yeah.
question about that? Today is my birthday. Okay. Why does the Starbucks birthday reward suck so badly? I've actually saved every single birthday email I've gotten for 3 years from restaurants. I will show you the file at some point. I have all of them. Okay.
Okay.
They're like, you get one coffee on the day of your birthday, and that's it. Versus like Krispy Kreme, that'll give me a dozen donuts, or Red Robin, that'll give me an entire burger, or Huddle House, that will give me a whole meal for 30 days. On Starbucks, I get a coffee, 24 hours only. Why couldn't they do better?
I don't know. I mean, it's a marketing question for Starbucks, right? So, I mean, the infrastructure and the tech enables you to do what they what you want to give. But it, I don't know. I don't want to comment on that actually.
By the way, I did not expect you to have the answer, but it is funny to me to think that like on on the day that's all about me, am I going to go out of my way for a coffee when I have 45 other offers that are better? All right, God bless. Let's move on. All right,
Oh,
let's go back to reputation management. Trust me when I say this, Arun is the best speaker to be talking about this topic with me. Arun, you ready to help our listeners to build a bulletproof reputation management plan?
yes, actually, yes. So I having been built, so I built a full end-to-end customer feedback gathering and analytics platform for as part of Scalum AI for one of our largest restaurant customer, and they use that to process over 10 million customer feedback data points every year. So I think one of the most important part, which is true for any kind of data, it's not the data which is important, it is the variations in the data. It is the insight from the data which is important. For example, if a rep knows that his restaurant is making revenue, let's say $10,000 a week, and he knows that it could be 9,000 or 11,000, and it keeps repeating it, that itself is not interesting. The moment it goes to 5,000 or the moment it goes to 20,000, that's where the insight comes. That's where the data point changes, correct? And that's true for reputation management also. So in the beginning, when you put a reputation management system in the restaurants, you start to understand your topics of conversation, right? What are the different things your customer talks about? It's ambience, it's customer service, it's food, whether the food is cold, service, whether your food is hot, whatever. So you get to understand a set of topics and the customer sentiment, which is expressed either directly by giving a review point or by it's embedded in the in the text sentiment. So you understand these things, and once you understand, okay, yeah, we're great. I mean, customers are they feel great about my ambience, my customer service is great. That's your initial understanding. After that, every week when you do every month when you do customer survey or when you get a feedback, if the data is same, okay, it's telling you the same old story. But the moment it goes, oh, last week there's a lot of complaint about cold food, then it makes interesting, correct? So that's the value of the customer, feedback analytics. It tells you about what are the important aspects of feedback, which is relevant for your restaurant, and it also tells you when something changes. It enables you to be being ahead of the game in fixing things and improving things with respect to what customer thinks about your brand. So that's a great thing about having the system in place at the first place. Uh, yeah, go ahead, bro. Did I go off topic here?
No, 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 no. It's funny because, like, for me, when I think about reputation management, for me, I come from the hospitality mindset, right? We're not just making and serving food. We're like serving you. We're giving you an experience, right? You could have cooked a hamburger at home. You could have made a sandwich out of your fridge. You could have opened a can of soup. Like, you didn't need to go to the restaurant, right? But you chose the restaurant because you wanted the experience or the convenience. Okay. So when I think about reputation management, I think about it from the hospitality mindset. Okay. You left me a 5-star review, I should say thank you. That would be the hospitality mindset.
Right.
You left me a 1-star review, I should say I'm sorry and take care of it, right? For
Right.
sure. Where you just came from is a whole other side, which is the data portion of
Eh,
it and the
Yeah.
insights portion. And it is a business, right? But it is the business of hospitality, and there's both things are important. Being a good being in good service is important, right? Understanding how the data affects your business is important, right?
Excellent. Yeah.
And I think most people actually don't think about both of them. They might think about a little of this or a little of that, but they're both the insights and the hospitality are both important, right?
Correct. Correct. Exactly. I think one thing which we have not talked is upfront, right? How, for example, how the review ratings in Google or in other similar platforms like Yelp can influence your local search results. I mean, we had a separate. I think we had an episode specifically on this, but I think it's a good time to bring it up again. That it's very important, the reputation management piece, because it can influence your customer acquisition part also. People actually look at the reviews, and Google search is influenced in based upon your reviews, and in suggesting in local search display results.
For sure. So just for maybe our listeners who didn't catch that one or haven't heard it yet, when somebody searches online, Google specifically for best whatever best chicken wings near me, Google is using 3 search ranking factors. Okay, distance, relevance, and prominence. And so distance is determined by the geo of the search. So if I said near me, it's going to give me results in that geographic. If I said, best chicken wings in Los Angeles is the geo. So distance is determined by the address. That's easy, right? Relevance is what's the thing I'm searching for. So in that case, the best chicken wings near me, I want chicken wings. So Google's going to return results that are whatever associated to the geo that have chicken wings. The difference maker is prominence, and that's what you're just talking about. And
Exactly.
when Google says prominence, what they're saying is they're ranking all the possible answers based on essentially what I call review velocity. So it's not the total amount of reviews you have, it's not your total average, it's how many 5-star reviews have you gotten recently versus another business that is also relevant to the search, right? And so the best way I can explain that to people is, okay, I'm standing in the middle of the street. Okay, there's a pizza pit place on my right. There's a pizza place on my left. I live in New Jersey. That happens all the time. Okay. Let's say they're both the same. They got cheese pies, pepperoni, mushrooms, cheesesteaks, chicken wings. Like they're essentially the same place, right? If I stand in the middle of the street and I go, best pizza near me, which one's going to come out on top? And the answer is whichever of them has the most amount of recent 5-star ratings and reviews, right? It's not the average over time, it's recency. And I've asked Google 100 times, they never told me what the magic formula is. But the point is, the more 5-star reviews you get, the higher you come up in search, right? That's where you're going.
Exactly. Yes. So, Rob, a few more things I want to talk about based on my experience working with various customers on this. So, it's very also a lot restaurants can make a lot of operational improvements by analyzing the customer feedback. Now, I have examples like even for big chains, right? During COVID, the one of the largest restaurant chains which we work with, made a lot of operational decisions based on customer feedback. As simple as that, the restrooms are not cleaned, or employees are under distress, or a lot of things is you can do. I mean, even for smaller restaurants, things like, hey, you know, this particular table which you put outdoors is feels too cold because it's near the window, right? And with a lot of because restaurateurs would have never understood by themselves, or they would not have really opened their eyes to that. When the customer actually talks about it, that's when you know what, I need to fix that. So a lot of valuable insights about your restaurant operations comes from the customers, and then customer feedback is an important part of improvement.
I have a fun story for you. Handcraft Burgers and Brew, we do, burgers, french fries, tater tots, hot dogs, whatever. I started to notice one day we were getting a bunch of reviews about food being too salty, right? And look, it's savory food, right? We salt everything. It's hamburgers and french fries. There's salt on everything, right? I think nothing of it because not everybody likes the same amount of saltiness, right? We try to play to the middle so we make everybody happy, but I get a review here or there where it's too salty. I'm like, okay, it just wasn't for you. That's okay, right? Uh, it's the same thing. Like I go to a hot chicken restaurant and they pour that sauce all over the top. Like I don't want that much sauce. It's opinion. Anyway, we get one, we get another, we get another, we get another. We get a whole string of them, and I'm watching these come in, and I'm like, okay, this is a pattern. This isn't just a couple people's opinion are different than mine or the chefs. It's something's wrong. I call my GM and I was like, "Hey, we've gotten a bunch of reviews lately that things are too salty." And she's like, she said the same thing. Nah, people just don't agree. I was like, something's wrong. It turns out that we had a brand new employee. Okay. And when we ran out of the seasoning for our meat, instead of using kosher salt, which is what we use, they grabbed table salt like Morton's and put it in the shaker, which is a totally different salt and performs totally differently. And sure enough, everything was extra salty, right? Because it was using the wrong salt.
Yeah.
Had I not been asking my guests for reviews, had I not been paying attention to the reviews, had I not, we would have continued to serve food that wasn't to our scope.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, probably an extreme example, but that's like, it's a great story of like, you got to pay attention and they're like, you're being given a signal, right?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, that's why. So when we were building Qubriux, one of the and we do have a reputation management module in Qubriux, even though it is a lot of the components are loyalty and retention marketing. One of the not so understood part is how the reputation management is influencing your marketing. Also, it's not very clear. So what happens is that from the reputation management and customers feedback, you understand your topics of conversations and which part customers are unsatisfied, dissatisfied with, and who are all those dissatisfied customers. So what you can do is that you can understand your MPS scores, you can understand, create a segment of dissatisfied customers, and then you can reach out to them, you can market them back. If I know that Rev is not happy with the salty food in the restaurant, I can actually reach out to Rev with whatever the right thing for you to market. Hey, Rev, I'm sorry to hear about your experience. You know what? Next time we come here, we would be more than happy to compensate for your bad experience, right? that is an important part of customer engagement. So it's not just about hearing about the feedback, it's also equally important to reach back to your customers who are, dissatisfied, who had a bad experience. That's why it is important to connect your customer feedback system back to your retention marketing.
Yeah, I mean that's going back to the hospitality side of things. By the way, you know what my favorite recovery move is? You'll love this. I get a 1 star or a 2 star review. My recovery move, other than to reply, "Hey, sorry that happened. That's below our standards. Yada yada." Everything total beside that. This is my move, and it absolutely works. Is I will message them and say, "Hey, are you in our rewards program? I want to give you a free burger, a free meal, a free whatever."
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I
So
talked about. Yeah.
it's so like it's such the move. I find that like here's the thing. I think a lot of restaurants would either not reply, right? Or maybe issue a refund. I kind of don't want to do the refund, right? Like you had a bad experience. I'm sorry, we screwed up. It happens. It's the restaurant business. If I instead of giving you your money back, if I give you the value and rewards points, you to use it, you have to come back. Right? Like, I get a second chance at it, and usually people are kinda like, "Oh, that was really nice, thank you." It works 9.5 times out of 10 to give somebody, value and reward points as opposed to, a refund.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is why I was saying that it is important to tie your reward, reputation management or customer feedback or survey system back to your loyalty and retention management platform, so that you can immediately say customer X had a bad experience. I'm going to add 200 reward points, or I'm going to add $10 to gift card. What do we want to do? So it needs to be tied together.
Right? I also think from a operation standpoint, like, I'll say, if I ever give a restaurant a bad review, they're like, "Oh, next time you come in, it's on me." I then have to message the restaurant, "Hey, I'm coming Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Does that work for my free win back burger?" And like, then I kind of feel like a jerk, right? And then like they have to execute that. And then the owner of the restaurant has to call the server that's on the day, like, "Oh, there's this guy coming in a Hawaiian shirt, give him a free burger." Like it's clunky, it's weird, it's awkward versus I just use my points. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
It's
That's
less
super.
awkward for the customer. It's no lift on your team. It's part of a system. Plus, you're really just at that point promoting your loyalty program.
Right. Right. And Rev, so now we have established that now it's important to capture your customer feedback. Now the next question is that how do we get a lot of our customers to give me feedback, a true honest feedback? And if it is great feedback, I would love to promote them to Google reviews. That's different thing, but I want feedback so that I understand my business better from a customer perspective. So what do you think are the good tactics to encourage customers to give me feedback?
I love this question. Thank you. My general thinking is I want to ask every single customer every single time for their feedback, right? And even if I'm only getting 1 out of 10 customers, right, that feedback over time creates incredible insights, right? And so, you can do it via QR code, you can do it automatically if you have the right technology, but the key is to ask for it every single time, whether it's online, in store, doesn't matter. The more feedback you have, the more understanding you have of your business.
That's absolutely great. But only thing is that typically it is unhappy customers who want to give the feedback, and they often want to give a feedback not directly. They go to Google review and complain about it, right? So what you want is that you want specifically the negative feedback. So you want to be the first one to hear about it, right? Is there a way to make it happen? Does it make sense to reward customer for to give you feedback in either way? Like, talk to me and let me know about the experience. Does it make sense to say that, yeah, I'll give you 100 loyalty points to if you can give me feedback? Is that a good approach?
So it depends. So incentivizing a review on Google and Yelp is against the terms and conditions of Google and Yelp. So if you're saying to a guest, "Hey, give me a 5 star review, I'll give you a free burger," bad
No.
news. Don't do that, right?
What I'm saying that give me a feedback, not Google. Tell me about
You,
your
you,
yeah.
that's why I said it depends, right? Asking a guest to give you feedback internally,
Yeah.
right, using a system like Qubriux or whatever, Absolutely, I would say, "Hey, give us your feedback and X. You'll be entered to win this," or, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I just wanna make sure that our listeners understand the difference. You can't incentivize reviews in Google Yelp. You can incentivize internal feedback.
Right. Okay. How about, let's say you create a segment of your happy customers, so let's say your loyal customers, and then ask them to give you a Google review. I'm not incentivizing them. I'm just saying, hey, happy customer, we'll be happy, we'll be thankful if you could just review us on Google. And the expectation is, since they are happy loyal customers, they will be leaving a good review in Google or Yelp forward.
Absolutely. I think that every restaurant would get more reviews by simply asking, right?
Okay.
But so, like, we did this. I'll never forget. This is a crazy story. I used to own a bar in New York City. At one point on Yelp, we had like a 3.8 or a 3.9, which is bad news. You need to be above a 4, right? Somebody came up to me and they're like, "This bar is better than your rating on Yelp. Like, why is your rating so bad?" And I realized, like, we weren't asking our guests, like, "Hey, did you enjoy this? Great. Would you share it on Yelp?" Right? So I trained our staff. Before they would hand somebody the tab, they would like, "Hey, did you have a 5-star experience?" If the guest said yes, like, to their face, they would be like, "Great. We really appreciate it when our guests share their opinion on Yelp or share their thoughts on Yelp." That was it. We just said, "We appreciate it." By simply asking the guest, we went from a 3.8 to like a 4.4 because
Yeah.
we weren't asking and people were happy to do it, right? So my point is, I think that restaurants could get more 5-star reviews if they simply asked happy guests, "Would you do this?" Right?
Absolutely.
Because
So
most people look at Yelp or Google reviews as a weapon. I had a bad time. I'm gonna punish this restaurant, right?
yeah.
There's way more happy guests than there are unhappy guests. So by simply going, "Hey, do you want to give us a review?" You will get more reviews.
Absolutely. So then a good tactic could be, even you could even automate this, right? You could be a sort of an automation whereby it looks, all your loyal customers, happy customers who's been visiting at least, let's say, once in 2 weeks, and you've been there for 5 or 10 times your restaurant. That could be a segment, and then automate an email campaign or SMS campaign to those happy customers. Says, hey, please review us on Google. So I'm sure that over a period of time, even you say that 10% of the customer, 20% of the customers are willing to give you a feedback, over a period of time, you'll be gaining enough happy, positive reviews in Google or Yelp. That could be a good strategy.
Absolutely. I think you have a higher chance of earning a review in the active moment, right? So, like, I'm in the store, I just left, I just received the delivery. Like, while I have the food on my brain or in my mouth or in my stomach, is the best time to ask because I'm feeling it, right?
Absolutely.
Right. It doesn't mean I wouldn't ask 2 weeks later, but you're gonna get more reviews by simply asking in the moment when you have active attention. But I would agree, sending out an email once a month to all of your guests who dine that month, like, "Hey, we love it when you share your thoughts on Google Yelp." Yeah, why not? You'll get a percentage of it.
Great. I mean, yeah, to your point, you could also automate such a way that, every time a happy customer makes uh, an order, it could the automation can trigger from that point also, right? It listens for a purchase from a happy customer. So the segment is your happy customer segment, and the event which triggers is purchase. So you can do that way also, yeah. But I think automation will help this. That's a
For
short
sure.
over here. Yeah.
Another move I really like that I don't think restaurants do enough is taking some of their best reviews and sharing them on social media.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, Angel said, "Oh, these are the best dang french fries I've ever had in New York City." Like, you could literally just screenshot that, put it in your social media, or you could just cut and paste it, put it over a video of your food. Like, we do that about once a month at Hank Wrap Burgers and Brew. But, like, why not share what other people are saying positively about your business? Because they're gonna their words are gonna sell your food better than you are. But also, like, you're encouraging your guests. You're like, "Hey, we appreciate when you leave reviews."
Yeah, absolutely.
Question for you, from a data perspective,
Yeah.
when you're looking at all the information that can be taken from your reviews, from getting feedback, like, how do you look at that? What do you think about it? How do you analyze it? What do you do?
I think typically what from a data point of view, we look at anomalies. So let's say if we have multiple regions located, and what we do is that we take the sentiment, the rating, and the topic of conversation, and we add additional metadata, which is the store region, maybe store manager if you want, or any other additional store information you want add to that, correct? And then you start looking and slice and dice the data. You see, okay, which region is in general having negative sentiment, higher negative sentiment than average? Which topic of conversation is having, higher negative or positive sentiment? You know that generally customer service score for, the sentiment around customer service is high in all regions except these other regions. You're looking for anomalies, correct? And typically, like you want to look at, of course, positive anomalies is great, but you also want to look at negative anomalies where things are happening bad. That is one important aspect. So taking this data, add all the additional data like store information, geolocation, and it could surprisingly, for example, add things like event and weather also into that. So it might tell you that what when hot weather happens, suddenly this particular sentiment around these topics is going up, right? It could you can find out some interesting insights by these kind of analysis. Make sense? And that will also help you to fix a lot of things in your restaurant which you never found out, which you never even understood why this is happening. Yeah. So this is what I would be doing from a data analysis point of view. So looking for anomalies in all slicing and dicing in all angles.
Yeah, one thing that we do. So again, we try to ask every guest every time, every order, right? The more data I have, the more relevant the data is, right? I can go look using the tools that we use and say, okay, I know I'm having some problems. Where am I having problems? Right? It's always revealing to me if I ask every guest every time, every order, I can go look at day parts. Hey, Tuesday afternoons, I'm getting more negative reviews than any other day. Well, that tells me something. It's probably staff related, right? What's happening with my staff on a Tuesday afternoon that I'm getting more of these, right? And if it's not my staff, is it something else? Is it, hey, we're just busier on Tuesdays because there's a parade in town every Tuesday? I don't know. But if you ask every guest every time, every order, the data is hyper relevant when you find the anomaly, right? And
Absolutely.
so if it's like, hey, why is the store underperforming? I can go like, okay, oh, we're getting more negative reviews at dinner. Why is that? Well, maybe we're understaffed. Maybe I have a bad staff member. Maybe there's something else happening I don't realize, but it gives you clues to find on the map. Why is the anomaly happening?
Exactly. So that's where you can create associates, make some correlations. So you take the data and you also add the data about number of staffs, right? In this particular example. So over a period of time, we see a correlation between number of staffs and the increase in a particular topic. Then you know that that something is going on here. It's staff related, and you need to fix that. And possibly a better way to fix that is to take a look at the number of staffs, right? So it gives you a lot of operation opportunities for operational improvements.
Yeah, it's funny. At Salad House, we're a franchise organization, so we have franchisees, right? I'll get a phone call or an email from one of our stores that says, "Hey, we need some help," or "We're off the mark this month," or like, "What can we do?" The first, like, I'm not kidding you. The first thing I do is I go look at our reputation management analysis. It's the first thing I do because I want to see what our guests saying, what's happening, right? And if I go in there and I look at a 30-day trend and I look at a 60-day trend and I look at a 90-day trend, and there's a lot of like incorrect order feedback or staff was rude feedback or whatever. If there is a trending feedback that's not getting improving, the first thing I'll say to our franchisee is like, look, I'm happy to help you with some marketing here, but you actually have a problem. You have an order accuracy problem. You have a staffing problem. You have another thing. And I can pour a ton of marketing into this, but they're going to have a bad experience. So let's fix the experience. Let's aim for operational excellence first, and then we can augment the marketing. Right. And again, if you're asking every guest, every order, every time, that data is pretty relevant.
Absolutely.
Yep. Awesome. Well, like legit, I could talk on this topic for hours and hours and hours because I think that it's hyper relevant, right? From the data perspective, it tells you things about your business. You can learn what to do. You can almost have, if you again, every order, every time, every guest, you have real time information. Also, it's just good hospitality. say thank you, say I'm sorry, right?
And it's a good marketing tool.
It's an amazing marketing tool. It's probably one of the most important ones. So,
A good input to the marketing, insight into the market.
amen. Well, I appreciate this conversation, buddy. Thank you. Everybody, thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the conversation, can you please share this episode with a friend who might also find it helpful? And remember to give us a rating right now. That helps us to spread the word to others who might find this valuable just like you do. Again, we are practicing good reputation management by asking for reviews on the show. Make sure you hit subscribe on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss another episode from us. Cheers.